Okay, let's move on into bariatric surgery.
Yep.
So, how did that actually start?
Okay. So bariatric surgery has a long history. Okay, it started around in the 1950s where they came up with a procedure that manipulates the bowel. It's not exactly the same that we are doing now, but basically what they did last time was to bypass a certain part of the intestine and bypass a certain portion of the stomach. Okay, but since then it has evolved like rapidly, and has become much more advanced. For example, in the beginning, they were done in an open surgery manner, meaning to say the scar is quite big, and then it's such a big wound, okay? But I think for the past 20, 30 years, we are moving more towards a minimalistic surgical approach, meaning to say the surgery is done via laparoscopic method. And another thing is, for example, the procedure of choice currently is mostly sleeve gastrectomy rather than gastric bypass. For example, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when talking about bariatric surgery, people always think about gastric bypass. But nowadays, we are moving away from gastric bypass and more towards sleeve gastrectomy as a primary procedure, as a first procedure for bariatric surgery. So, for example, for sleeve gastrectomy, we cut the stomach. So essentially we remove 3/4 portions of the stomach. So we are only left with about 25% of the stomach capacity. Okay. So and then whereas for example in gastric bypass, you are rerouting your intestine. Okay. Your stomach is actually still there, but you're only left with maybe a P-shaped amount of your stomach, and then much of your intestine, small intestine, the initial part of the small intestine is being bypassed, so that the food that you eat won't be absorbed by the body. Okay, so that's actually when talking about bariatric surgery, there are different kinds of it, and then sleeve gastrectomy is nowadays the preferred form of procedure, and the other ones are more like a secondary procedure. For example, someone who failed the first one might be considered for something else.
Okay.
Okay. All right. For example, right? Okay, when we see them, they come in, we see them, then they understood, okay, what is meant to be a bariatric patient. Okay, then we do a pre-operative assessment for them, then they are fit for the surgery. Then we will talk to the patients on what is actually bariatric surgery, because it's not just as simple as cutting your stomach and you are set for life, you will lose weight on your own. No, it's not as simple as that. Okay? It involves a thorough change in your lifestyle after the surgery. Meaning to say, you still need to be on a healthy diet. You still need to exercise. It's not a magic fix for your morbid obesity, but your dieting and exercise effort will be much easier to do. Okay, because for example, if we do the sleeve gastrectomy, where we cut the size of your stomach, right? The hunger hormone produced by the stomach will be much less. So after the surgery, the hunger that you feel will be much less compared to before the surgery. So that will make it easier for you to be on a diet, isn't it? Because you are not hungry all the time. Secondly, since your stomach size is smaller, the capacity, the amount of food that you will be eating will be much less as well. So again, that will be make your effort to be on a healthy diet easier, isn't it? Then, when talking about exercise, when you initially have lost maybe 10 kilos, 15 kilos in the beginning, your body will be lighter, so it will be much easier for you to do exercise. Okay, because your joint won't be as painful. Your foot won't be as painful when you go for a walk, for example, when you go for a jog or go for a run. So that is how the surgery will be able to help all these morbidly obese patients to lose weight by making the effort much easier. Okay, so as I mentioned before, a bariatric surgery involves a complete life overhaul. So obviously, there will be a number of people what we call a multidisciplinary approach to the patient. So they will need to be consulted by a dietitian. So the dietitian will go through at length in details on how to go about their post-operative lifestyle. Because I can tell you, their eating pattern, their eating style after the surgery is going to be entirely different. It's not going to be the same at all. usually what I tell my patient is, you just forget everything that you know about eating before the surgery, because after this it's gonna be different. Okay. Then there's guidance from the exercise physiologist person to guide on the types of exercises that can be done in the beginning and how to progress from there. Because they can't straight away go for the crunches or sit-ups or suddenly go for a run. It can't. It has to be a gradual thing, because you have to remember that we are talking about people who maybe never exercise in their life at all. Okay, so it's unfair, it's unsafe in fact for us to be able to expect them to be able to suddenly do all these type of exercises. So it needs to be a guided, gradual progressions of exercising. Then they need to see a doctor also to make sure that they are always fit. Before the surgery they are fit for the surgery, and after the surgery that they are always in a state of not malnourished, because there's a risk of malnutrition if they are not careful after the surgery. Okay. So this involves a multidisciplinary approach to the patient. So we have to ask them, one of the things that we need to ask them is how ready are they in terms of wanting to change their lifestyle. Okay, because they may want to lose weight, but if they are not content with having to eat less, they may not be able to achieve the good results after the surgery.